Checking in, sir?
Wow, this resort is so great. I've never seen a place devoted to kids in such a way. I mean, you have slides and games and rides.
Yeah, well, we do aim to please. Where are your little bundles of joy anyway?
I thought I'd just check out this place by myself to make sure they like it. Whee!
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the No Vacancy Podcast with me, your host Glenn Hausman. As you know, I am excited and delighted to have you here each and every single week. And if you're the first time listener to the show, now would be a great time to join the No Vacancy community and sign up for the podcast either at Apple Podcasts or at Google Play or pretty much anywhere that podcasts are found. Stitcher, you know where to go. You know how to do it. You're listening to a podcast now. Sign up for the No Vacancy Podcast. And of course, text the word hotel to 66866 and you'll get subscribed to our newsletter. And of course, this show is brought to you in part by Duetto, the revenue strategy technology platform thousands of hotels are using to make more money. Now listen, you got to go right now to getrevenueresults.com because they have got an amazing video there where you can follow an adventure of committed team of hoteliers. They're struggling out there. They're dealing with a mess of spreadsheets, disconnected strategies, and poor communication because they don't have the right technology in place. But when they commit to a revenue optimization strategy, the world changes in ways that you have never imagined, and they haven't imagined too. So seriously, go to getrevenueresults.com, watch the video, how hotel management teams can collaborate and make more money. It's essential for you guys to make more money. That's getrevenueresults.com. Of course, I want to thank Red Roof for being a great sponsor as well. I'm so excited to have them aboard. And if you haven't checked out our tech show, we're doing 10 episodes of that. We're already 4 in deep. Go check the No Vacancy podcast feed. You can listen to all of those shows. And coming at you, finally, April 1st, the big show, checking in. Brand new name with me and Anthony Melchiori of Travel Channel's Hotel Impossible and some other great shows. So I'm really stoked. The podcasting thing is really taking off. You guys are really responding out there. We're going to be delivering a lot more fun shows to you, including an amazing design show that we have coming and some other stuff that I've got up my sleeve. That's a code for I have no idea what's coming next, but shh, don't tell anyone that. All right, so we're getting close to all these things. Now, don't forget, let's set the gear shift to high gear of your soul and bring in Miss Jennifer Hawkins. She's the president of Hawkins International, amazing PR firm. She's been on the show before. I've worked with her and her team for a lot of years, and they are experts in absolutely everything in the public relations universe. Jennifer, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I love that I'm an expert in everything. How about everything luxury travel? How about that?
All right. That's too bad because I was going to talk to you about escargot on today's podcast, but I guess that throws everything out the window. Sure. We'll talk about luxury travel. But, I do, Jennifer.
I know how to eat it, not prepare it.
Do you? Well, listen, I actually have an escargot story for you today, which is surprising because, but then again, who doesn't have an escargot story, right? So, I'm in Paris all last week, and the way that they serve their escargot is different than the way they do it here in the United States, because here in the U.S., you probably know this, you're a smart, sophisticated traveler. They basically have the entire snail shell there, where here in the United States, they make it really simple and pretty much do all the hard work for you. So, me trying to pretend that I'm a cool, faux Frenchman out there, sitting there struggling with trying to get the escargot with my tiny little fork out of the escargot, making a mess of it. I just had to give up. I couldn't eat it all. I'm very sad, Jennifer. Maybe we can set up some sort of tutoring class to help me get through this.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So
we'll send you one of our hotels in Paris. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you.
I like that. It was a lot of fun because I was down there and it was the World Cup finals, and it was so amazing to see the excitement in the streets and all of the people. But I didn't have a chance to go to a luxury hotel on this particular trip. I stayed at a apart hotel. And if you guys are listening, you want to learn all about the mode Arc de Triomphe and how it's really changing hospitality, check out last week's show, and you can hear all about it. But Jennifer, today we're going to talk about luxury and hospitality industry trends. Wellness is getting big. I've been saying it's going to get big now for a lot of years. I figured if I keep repeating it, it might actually happen. It seems to be happening. How do you see the state of wellness and the luxury side of hospitality?
Well, we've been doing hotel PR in the luxury sector for, 20 years, and it's been a very traditional industry for the most part. Mm-hmm. So it's been very exciting to see this intersection of wellness and luxury come together, and not just anymore on the resort side, but now we're starting to see a lot of the city, urban hotels really embracing things that are, considered, wellness is a very large category. It's a $372 trillion market according to the Global Wellness Summit. I know. So there's a lot in the wellness sort of category, and then when you sort of dissect it into travel and then even further into like the luxury sector, it still plays a very big part in what the global traveler today is looking for, whether it's through a business trip, a family trip, a honeymoon, that there's a lot of incorporation of, they don't want just like a beautiful room and, beach and shades at the, with their margarita, which is still very, admirable and it's sort of available. But now what people are also looking for are places to be sort of engaged in not just yoga necessarily, but maybe stand-up paddleboard yoga.
Right.
Or, not just renting a bike, but actually going on a mindful dirt bike meditation ride, which, happens out in some of our Western clients. So there's a lot of different ways that clients of ours, hotels, resorts, and spas, and even the cruise industry,
right.
We represent Seabourn, which is really exciting. They're the first cruise line to offer Andrew Weil, who is obviously a well-known holistic educator, and they have a mindful sort of health coach on Seabourn Cruises, which is pretty remarkable considering they've been around and very traditional.
Do they offer any courses in how to grow a magnificent beard like Andrew Weil?
I know. Well, they probably, teach you how to, clean your beard. Let's hope.
So I want to back up a little bit and talk about the whole idea of, of what wellness really is. I think you are right. And it's kind of a little bit of everything right now. So it's almost like the phrase, it means so much, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. Earlier in the development of the whole wellness side of the business, I think it had more of a meaning. But right now, wellness just seems to me that it could mean mostly anything. And I think we almost have to start segmenting it, kind of like you don't just stay in a hotel. You stay in a luxury hotel. You stay in a mid-scale hotel, whatever it might be. Because some of the things that you've told me about in the past is like, it encompasses, preventative medicine or medical travel or beauty and anti-aging or healthy eating or nutrition and weight loss or spas and fitness. Then there's a whole lot more to it. So are all of these things kind of increasing simultaneously in different ways, or are some aspects of wellness getting more traction than others in the luxury hotel sphere?
That's a good question. I mean, one of the things that we've seen is a commitment on behalf of our clients that these aren't just like trends that they're sort of like bouncing on a trend and hoping they stick, but they're actually employing people like down in the Carillon in Miami Beach. They actually have a grocery guru, which is somebody who, when you go there, and it's the former Canyon Ranch, so it's a destination spa on Miami Beach. But so you can go. There's 40 classes a day. You can go to the spa. But you can also learn a lot about. There's a Medi Spa component, and learn about, like as you said, weight loss, for instance. And they will have somebody teach you, and actually they're across the street from a grocery store. They'll have somebody go with you across the street to help you, learn how to shop in a grocery store if you're, whether it's like you're diabetic or you want, strictly weight loss, or you want to learn how to shop for, a family of 4. There's other kinds of commitment. Like in Switzerland, one of our clients, and this is an authentic thing, this isn't, sort of marketing speak, they have a water sommelier, and that's in Switzerland, where they genuinely are on natural hot springs, but they, curate actual different water for different types of minerals that have different components of healing. So there's somebody who's actually like teaching you about, different components of water, which you wouldn't think are necessarily offhand something that you need to focus on. So there's a commitment on the behalf of the properties to, I think, engage and educate their customers, their clients, and so that there's sort of a takeaway that becomes a little bit more than a memory, but there's an actual learning component. What they are finding too is they're partnering with like gurus. People will follow,
Right.
Maybe a yoga instructor or a dietitian or somebody who is, an author. So there's a lot of embracing wellness in that factor too. Is they find that people are really able to be motivated to book when they've got a mission to it. And it's good for the hotels, too, because there's sort of a duration that usually is with that. It's usually like anywhere from a weekend to maybe, a week-long retreat. And, guests are able to get very deep into whatever wellness sort of focus they have. It's like an exciting time for, I think, hotels to embrace and they don't have to do a lot. I mean,
Right.
Some hotels are just carving out little pieces of their lobby that are like sort of like little serenity lodges or lounges where guests can just sort of go and be peaceful. There's not really, one of our clients in California has a moon deck and a sun deck.
Ooh.
So it's really contemplative. It's kind of like it's a rock garden, and it's meant to be sort of, solo or just with like a couple people, but, meant to be in silence. So that's, I think, a big change. But then we're also seeing, we have another client that's Circle Line Cruises, which is like really a cruise line around Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact,
on
if you guys like Circle Line Cruises, I did a great show with them last summer in June. So go back and check out that show and learn all about the history of that cruise company and how cool some of their new boats are, which I guess are now a year old. Sorry, Jennifer, didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
That's
great.
I got to promote your clients.
They're doing something different. They're not doing, meditation cruises. They're
Right.
doing the opposite, where they've partnered with Crunch. So they're bringing on very high energy, dynamic, get the blood racing, bring on a DJ, and do really cool workouts. So wellness isn't all about yoga and, meditation. It's also about just feeling good, being
Right.
active. And I think that creating that community that, you can seek out, you can go be quiet somewhere else, but you can also go have a really amazing high-energy workout. But, I thought that was really exciting when Circle Line announced that it's not like you just, because usually you're sitting on those cruises and it's
Right.
very passive. You're just, sitting there watching the sights go by. This is, you can have, you can sort of double dip, get a workout
Right.
and a fun trip. And
I heard it's actually a triple dip. The workout is they actually throw you overboard, and then you have to try to swim for safety. So, just
that's when you
kidding,
need to
Circle
cool
Line.
off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love that you're able to, be able to bring some sort of, excitement and change to the traditional type of trip. I was last week when I was in London. We took a boat trip on the Thames as a cocktail party. And the only workout I got was holding a microphone, talking to people. But I like the idea of going on something, seeing these incredible sights, and actually doing something for your body that's in a positive way at the same time. That's pretty neat.
Right. And, the other thing that we're seeing just in general as travelers sort of in transit is, like at airports, I'm sure everybody has seen that, they've got the little massage chairs and whatnot. But there's a brand, Rome Fitness, that is really committing itself to putting gyms into airports around the country. I think they only have like one or two right now. I think they started in Baltimore, and they have a rollout plan for other gyms. But I think that's exciting too. So it's not just, again, the wellness on the go get a massage before your flight, but you can actually have like a little mini workout if you've got a layover or you get to the airport early. So I think that, having those, and also Mind Body app and the class passes, where people are looking for on-demand sort of smaller studio classes.
Right.
Those we see are really big in the hospitality world too, where people are traveling and they want to do, they're really committed to their Pilates practice, but the hotel might only have like a gym that they can use. So you can use something like Mind Body, which is a really great app that just, geolocates the closest Pilates studio. And, that's where, your hotel can come in really handy, and your concierge can, get you an Uber, or you can take their car. And so I think that, allowing and sort of encouraging your traveler, your guest, to be and continue their health regime that they have at home is only going to be better for, the loyalty that your guests will have in terms of wanting to come back. So it's not only you have to keep it right at the resort or at the hotel, but having those partnerships and that access and that information to, local partners is really interesting, I think, and really going to be helpful for the sustainability of the hotels and the wellness world, too.
I think
giving their guests access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jennifer, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that this is a great way for all you hoteliers out there that are listening to this program right now. You can help your guests get better, feel better, live better, and you don't have to spend the money in your hotel directly. You could work out some sort of deal with partners right down the street. I think that's a terrific idea. Another app I love, the Soothe app. If you need to get a massage in your hotel room, they'll come by, but only use that one if there's no spa in the hotel. I don't want to take away the business from all those good spa people out there. Now, the interesting thing, and I got to tell you, Jennifer, you guys provided me with this particular statistic. The average international wellness tourist spends nearly 61% more on a wellness vacation than a traditional tourist. That is some big numbers right there.
Yeah, I mean, we're involved with the Global Wellness Institute, which are they spend a lot of their energy and effort, and it was founded by Susie Ellis, formerly the founder of Spa Finder, and she's committed herself to helping the spa and hospitality industry do research in this area. Mm-hmm. So they come up with these really amazing statistics based on the research that they've done, and I think that statistic alone, that 61% more spend is on the wellness tourist than the regular tourist. And I think it's because of what we're talking about. They're willing to spend, whether it's I'm going to spend extra on a yoga class or a paddleboard class or, biking or going on a sugar detox weekend somewhere. Destination resorts have been, and I think that going out of the classic destination resorts, like the Miraval's and Canyon Ranches, are great, but we're seeing that there's a lot of specialty destination resorts too, like people, like Ayurvedic and no drinking, detox only. There's more sort of specialized places that people can go, and really any niche can really be tackled and handled, and I think addressed.
Right.
Both on and also the honeymoon sector. People are wanting to be very active and healthful on their honeymoon.
I thought they already had. I already thought they were getting plenty of exercise on their honeymoon, and if they're not, then they're probably off to a seriously bad start with this relationship.
Exactly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to totally derail you, but I couldn't help myself. So let me bring us back here for a second. I really caught on with some of the words that you said about getting the niche audience together, and I think that's the natural thing that you see with the development of a fad that becomes a successful trend, because as that trend starts to expand, it starts to take on different flavors, then more specific flavors. I think you could argue that we saw this in the magazine world in the 1990s. All of a sudden, there was a magazine for absolutely everything, from 10 magazines all about cats to fly fishing to model railroad trains, and it's the same thing is kind of happening now, I see, with this kind of wellness trend that's happening, and it's allowing all these hotels to express the way that they want to go with different permutations to try to attract different groups of travelers to their hotels, right? Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's very fair, and I think that as a publicist, which we are, what's really exciting too is that parlays very naturally into a lot of the influencer activations that we do. So we work with, outside of the publications that you're just talking about, there's also influencers that are very niche, so that you can very easily target. Like if you're going to have a yoga retreat, you can, through some research, and we have an extensive database and team that vets them. But, if you want to, increase, if you're launching a yoga program or a new yoga instructor or or a weekend, you can be very targeted and, niche, as you said, in attracting those people who otherwise might not know about your programming. And you can do that through influencers and through social media advertising, Facebook targeting. And, it doesn't take a huge budget to do this. It just takes a lot of strategy and focus. But I think that niche part is very exciting. So it doesn't necessarily have to impede any of your other business. You can still have your business travelers and, your weekend weddings and that kind of thing. But you can, and also it allows you to kind of test things out a little bit too. We thought that, having a Peloton bike was going to be really interesting and attractive to our guests. And maybe it's not, maybe they want to be outside, but you can kind of play with a lot of these things through your niche influencers. And because they'll help drive not just traffic to your website and likes to your platforms, but they will oftentimes be able to actually drive bookings for you. So we've seen that multiple times with we had a client in Grand Cayman that needed to fill some space at the resort over spring break that they normally would have booked. And they did some Facebook advertising and targeted some specific niches of, and I think including family, and they, I think, invested $1,400 for about a $5,000 return. So it was very instant and very focused, and again, kind of niche marketing.
Yeah, I like that. You'd mentioned, Jennifer, the influencers, and to me, this is such a critical thing for our listeners to understand a little bit more of, because quite frankly, I quit my job and started this business that you all are listening to No Vacancy Podcast because in addition to what I do here is I create content for companies behind the scenes, and a lot of that might even come from that influencer point of view. How do you know if an influencer is the right type of influencer for you to work with when it comes to promoting your particular brand for either a wellness activity or something else in general?
Well, it's a good question, it's not that there's a secret sauce, but there is a strategy to it. So we actually employ an outside third-party database that we use to help us vet those influencers because we have a huge amount of inbound requests.
I'm sure you do. I just read
inbound.
Right.
I mean, listen.
I just read an article about
Beverly Hills Hotel, and you have Sunrise Springs Destination Spa in Carillon and the Dorchester in London. People want to stay there, so we have to be gatekeepers as much as we are, inviters. So we're keeping people out as much. So we found that we needed to. There's some really interesting statistics about how, and sort of more anecdotes on how brands have, hired celebrities, for instance, that you think are obvious choices for your brand.
Right.
Their sites are beautiful, the person is beautiful, they're successful, they were just in the latest movie, but they don't necessarily have the followers that are going to translate into what is ultimately going to be, a like-minded consumer for your hotel. So we had to go deeper, and we had to find out not only what the numbers were behind those followers, but also who were those followers and what were their income levels and buying choices and travel trends, focuses. So, we go quite deep. And then what we're able to do is ask for clear deliverables from a lot of these influencers. Sometimes we're asking them to give us not just a certain number of posts and a certain number of, tags and hashtags, but we oftentimes give them a unique booking code so we can track how that's performing. We sometimes give them some sort of incentive to, reaching out to their followers. So we're very cognizant of the fact that pretty pictures are not going to drive the business. Sometimes awareness is the goal. If you're launching something, you just need to get some numbers up. But, there's been so much controversy of late with fake followers, so we're very clear about wanting to, create a swell of excitement for our clients and the likes that are very authentic and genuine, because we're not about the numbers. And that's where I think the luxury sector needs to not get wooed by, huge numbers. You don't need 1 million followers, but you need like some key people who are going to be following you and looking to you to post some, compelling information and that speaks to them, and it's getting to the right audience. And so it takes sometimes it takes some give and take, and you kind of play with it, but oftentimes we're really clear with our influencers. We're not kind of carte blanche, go post if you want, don't if you don't.
Right.
They're asking for a lot, and then we in turn ask for a lot as well.
Right,
so we
as
have
you should.
Really great relationships with several influencers. We're always looking for more because, not every influencer is the right one for every one of our clients. So some have no interest in wellness. They're golf, they have an amazing Instagram feed for golf. So they're not necessarily going to be somebody that we would contact when we're launching a new spa. So, but they serve a purpose, but they should not be the end all be all sort of strategy in your PR campaign.
I think that's some wise words, because I think people are putting a little too much emphasis on them in some cases and then not leveraging the opportunity in other cases. The whole world of media is really changing right now, and the way that you connect with customers is different. That's why I like the wellness aspect of it. If any of you have heard my speeches on the road, I like to talk a lot about strong storytelling and creating experiences for the customers. And this is a great way to make that strong emotional connection with a guest through the wellness platform that, as Jennifer so eloquently said earlier, that's going to help them build that loyalty and bring them back time and time again. And they'll spend more money. Jennifer, believe it or not, we're almost out of time already. Is there anything else that you want to add in regards to the wellness trend before I ask you a couple of questions about your agency?
I don't think so. I think that, everybody should, consider embracing this transformative travel sort of opportunity. I wouldn't even call it a trend. I think there's opportunity, and I think that it's an exciting and in some ways playful time, sort of taking travel to a different level that is fun.
Yeah.
Let's not be so serious about our travel. And unplug. I would say I'm giving like there's no coincidence that there's an increase in these, unplugging vacations, because we're so attached to our devices that, that's where the wellness piece comes in. People just want some quiet, and they want to connect.
Right.
So that's my biggest sort of end for this, which is on a personal level, we should all be doing that, and then, use travel as an opportunity to disconnect and reconnect as well.
I think that's really wise words. I encourage everybody, put down those phones. Unless, of course, you're listening to the No Vacancy podcast, then keep them in your faces. But other than that, I think we really need to. I think we really need to take a break from our technology. It's getting to be a little too much, and I think it's influencing our lives in ways that we don't know. And that I think you're right. And the wellness thing really is is playing to that category and getting people to be a little bit more holistic in the way that they feel. Hopefully we'll all be able to break these addictions to those darn phones. I can't stand it anymore. I do feel like I'm connected to it at all times. So as far as your agency goes, you've been around for a while now. Why don't you give everybody a good strong plug about Hawkins International and the type of PR you specialize in the travel world?
Sure. No, I appreciate it. We have been in business since 2002. And, we have a lot of pride in our 30-plus employees here. We have a great culture. We just opened an office in L.A., which is very exciting.
Amazing.
We just got our 4th client in L.A.
Congrats.
or in California since January.
Awesome.
So that's very exciting, and that we're continue to grow that. But we're specialists not just in hotels, but in hotel companies, resorts, spas, cruise lines, airlines, and as we grow, we see this wellness sector being really an integral part of it. We're working with some beauty brands, so we're really proud of being part of a ongoing team. I just talked to a client today that I've worked with probably for no less than 8 years. So and I talked to another client whose original hotel I opened with him in 2000. So we take a lot of pride in our relationships and being, good, trusting advisors and counselors. We have a lot of fun. We have a great team. And, we love what we do. At least I love what I do. I love the travel industry. I think we're very fortunate to be in it. And it's a global world, and we approach it that way. And we are privileged, Glenn, to be part of your amazing No Vacancy podcast. We love it, and you're a great advocate for the industry, as we think that we are too. So congratulations to you, and thanks again for highlighting the industry and its ongoing trends.
You are too sweet, and we were supposed to be shamelessly plugging you, not me. But I'll take it.
No.
I'll take it. I like to be said. I'd like to be told nice things. I'm not, I'm not such a stranger to that. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. It was really great. I hope we get to have you on again real soon. I love your insight and how you're bringing a different angle to help hoteliers find ways to increase their business as well. And for all you road warriors out there, if you're like me, you're trying to get some good wellness activities on the road. So hopefully you've taken some of this advice and you'll look for a hotel that features some sort of wellness association in your future. So stick around, because after this commercial break, we got another great interview. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You already know. You read it in the show notes. I'll be right back after this message. Thanks again, Jennifer, and we'll be right back after this.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Glenn here. So a couple of months ago, I had Andy Alexander, he's the president of Red Roof, on this exact podcast. And we did it during the AHOA conference. And let me tell you, I got to know a lot about the Red Roof team and the brand. For example, did you know Red Roof offers one of the highest RevPARs in the economy segment and has been #1 in online guest reviews 8 years running, according to Clarabridge? Well, they're careful to make sure standards reflect guest experiences, they're fully tested and well priced. In fact, they manage about 20% of the system, so they have skin in the game too. A few years ago also, another great thing they did is they introduced Red Roof Plus, a brand extension that created the upscale economy segment, and it's a great product with wood-like flooring, high-end bedding, spa-inspired baths, enhanced landscaping, and more, all based on customer research. And it's having a dramatic effect on owners' financial results. I know when I first saw it, I was blown away by how much you could do in an economy place to make it seem extremely upscale. I guess that's where they got upscale economy from. So more recently, they introduced the Red Collection, which is an amazing group of unique hotels that are city-centric, but also inspired by the vibe and culture of the neighborhoods in which they're located. And that gives franchisees the opportunity to affordably invest in new markets with a brand that has a solid track record. But the most interesting thing I learned, all from Red Roof franchisees themselves. Again and again, they tell me, genuine relationships, real results. It isn't just a slogan, it's just how Red Roof operates. Learn more by visiting redrooffranchising.com or call 888-473-8861 and tell them Glenn sent you.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the No Vacancy Podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. It is absolutely delightful to be here with you today, but it is more delightful because I've got myself a real fun guest, and that's the CEO of Dream Hotels, Mr. Jay Stein. How are you, sir?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Glenn.
Man, I'm excited to have you on the phone. We're recording this at the NYU Hospitality Investment Conference in New York City. Second year in a row doing this. I think it's becoming an annual tradition, Jay.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Now, after we record this, and you guys are going to have to go back into the past and join us for our 4 o'clock panel, which I would say was amazing. Probably the best panel I've ever seen either of us do.
Now I got to really live up to that.
Well, if not, I'll just edit this. I'll just edit this part out. But it should be great. So, curious as to how you feeling these days? What's going on with the company?
Feeling good. Growth is moving in the pattern that we talked about last year. We're kind of averaging a deal a month that we're getting signed. I wish I could say we were opening up a deal a month, but
you got to work on shortening that construction process to deal signed, boom, it's open.
You got to find me a new construction companies. But we did open 2 since we spoke last year. We did open Hollywood in July, early part of July, and we opened Durham. Unscripted about a week after. So again, not too bright trying to open 2 hotels within a week of each other, but that's just how they fell. So we did it. And we've got Nashville opening later this year, so we are getting some of them open. Yeah, exciting.
Nice. Hollywood was such an exciting property for you guys. I really felt like it takes the company now into that next iteration, and then Unscripted a week later, which is your more select service kind of offering.
Not select service, full service. They'll all be full service. But it could go in secondary markets.
Right, that's kind of
where the other brands don't belong. Sure.
And I'm not even going to edit that out because I'm not infallible. So how do you kind of decide what would work well for the other? What do you consider a secondary market then?
Well, anything that's not a primary market, and is not tertiary, I guess it falls into secondary. But so where we don't think it's right for Dream or for Chatwell or for Time to be in, because they just don't have the cachet, let's say, that we don't think those brands belong in those markets, or it may be a little too early for some of those markets. They may turn into, I don't think Nashville was a primary market 10, 15 years ago.
Oh my God,
and now it's one of the hottest markets.
It really is,
in Austin as well. So.
And you've got the Nashville property opening later this year in December. You have it earmarked for. That's pretty.
That'll be a dream, correct?
And I think it's I think I may have said this to somebody else who was opening up a property. I think it's federal law now that you have to open up a hotel brand in Nashville these days.
Yeah, I think Bangkok and Nashville are the 2 cities that you have to have a brand in.
So it's interesting to see how much Nashville has changed in time, and how it's all of a sudden everybody wants to be in that city. What was so appealing to it for you, other than, of course, somebody wanting to put up the money to build one there?
Well, that's part of it. But as you say, it's just such a up-and-coming city. It's been able to attract great new tech businesses. Obviously, the connection to music is phenomenal, which works really well with our brands. And a lot of our good competition is already there or coming there as well. So we weren't the only ones to realize. In fact, we're a little late. I wish we could have gotten a little earlier, but we're not always the smartest kids on the block. But as you say, it also has to do with finding developers that are doing projects in areas. So Nashville has been something on our radar for a number of years now, so we're excited.
Yeah, and you said you're doing about a deal a month. That's pretty intense. How are you doing so many deals?
We're signing them. They're not opening yet.
No, I know.
Will.
Doing a deal a month doesn't mean opening them, although I'm going to introduce you to the Aladdin Building Company. With a snap of the fingers, they could open. But
at some point, they will start opening about 1 a month or once every other month, probably in about 3 years from now, as a lot of these deals start to mature and start to open. So yeah, really exciting.
I have to admit, I don't usually use a lot of notes, but I got some great notes from PR about all of these properties, and I'm just scrolling, and there's so many here opening up in 2020. Palm Springs, the Chatwell Lodge is opening in the spring of 2019 up in Woodstock territory, which is going to be
Bethel, New York,
great.
Not Woodstock. It's where the concert took place.
That's
about 80 miles from the town of Woodstock.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. I didn't realize it was that far away, and as a New Yorker,
I
should really know that. Bethel's a really great talk, and we did a video, and I highly suggest you guys checking novacancynews.com to talk about that project. So different, so unusual, and I think it's worth talking about now because it's not what you would expect in one of your major cities at all. So why even go down that
So that's
path?
it. It's in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. We're doing a wilderness lodge. It's a 5-star luxury version. If you think, if Ralph Lauren was going to, open up a lodge in the most, serene, beautiful area. And that's kind of what we're doing there. But it's really the neighborhood, what's going on in the Catskills and, more importantly, Sullivan County. The new hotel that's on the grounds of the Concord, the Resorts World project, just opened in Chinese New Year this year.
That's
There's
amazing.
a new spa opening on June 21st, which will be attending the opening. It's a great friend of Mr. Chatwell, our chairman, Subhash Chandra, is opening up the Yo One Spa, $100 million investment, about 5 minutes from the casino. The Bethel Performing Arts Center, where they have a 17,000-person music venue, has been open for a few years, and then the Chatwell Lodge. So the 4 of those within about a 15-minute drive are all great anchors into an area that has not seen a lot of energy.
I'm so excited, but I'm also sitting here, and I know you can't see this, listeners. I'm shaking my head because it makes me think why didn't this happen 40 years ago? I remember, you're, as a tri-state area guy, both of us remember going up in the 70s to the Catskills, right? You see the billboards, casinos mean jobs.
I was a soda jerk at
right?
Poppins in South Fallsburg. Oh, yeah. In the 70s. So
yeah.
I know it well.
So, what that was all like. I used to go, to Kutcher's and Concord and all of those.
So that Yo One spot is Kutcher's. It's
No
on the
way.
ground of Kutcher's, and the Resorts World is on the ground of the Concord.
Yeah.
So, all legendary stuff.
I feel so sad for all those original operators that couldn't make it, and now to see all of that changing. So,
and the other neat thing, it was so summer oriented back
right.
in that area, and now it's not. Now you're really seeing it as a 4-season. A lot of hipsters coming up from the tri-state area,
right.
looking at these places and farm to table areas and great bed and breakfast, the Bruce and other ones. So there's a lot of cool things going on. And again, it's not just summer oriented.
So when you go into Bethel, do they have a place where they check to make sure you're wearing skinny jeans, or are you allowed free passage into town?
No, it's a great town, and again, anchored by the Bethel Performing Arts Center, which has an amazing museum all about the '60s, so my era, and fun. Just great energy up there.
I think that it's awesome that there's such a need for a 5-star lodge product. I'm
not sure there is. Hopefully, we're going to create the need. I think there's a need for anything that's 90 miles from Manhattan, that people won't have to drive out to the Hamptons,
right.
and can get to an amazing resort all season round, be able to wear jeans and feel comfortable, maybe leave your phone in your room and just go out and be with nature for a couple of days.
Well, I think you're onto something, because I remember back in the day going up to places like Mohonk Mountain House and checking that out. I always loved it up there. I think that part of the country is so beautiful. And you mentioned the Hamptons. Hamptons has, and Montauk even, has lost that casual aspect to it. It's become so Kardashian.
Yeah, we think so too, and that's why we were so excited by. And there's articles. If you just Google it, you'll see 20 articles about why the Catskills is the new Hamptons. Amazing. And the fact, again, it's only 90 miles. The traffic isn't bad to get up there. So really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to go leaps and bounds beyond what the Poconos was, which is also 90 miles, but just a different state. So Unscripted also really, really crushed it. Here in 2020, you got Birmingham Central Hall, Unscripted in Dream Belize, the Unscripted Tulum, and Chatwal San Miguel de Allende, which you just recently announced as well.
Yeah, we just announced it today. So very exciting. In Mexico, our second project, as you mentioned, we signed a Unscripted in Tulum. I was just there last week with the owners looking at that whole site. And San Miguel Allende, which is a great community, about 3-hour drive north of Mexico City. Very hip, very cool artist community, very high end. We're doing a Chatwal there. Rates should be between $700 and $800 a night. So it's not just kind of a regular resort area that just people go to the beach and try to get a cheap room or something.
All right, so I will not be staying there.
Yeah.
No, it's nothing personal. You got to make some.
And hopefully this will build a little quicker. It's only 44 keys. So.
I hope so. I just need a couple more advertisers on the site, and then I'll be good to go. And I'll be staying with you every single year, which would be really terrific. So, tell me a little bit about how people are starting to understand what your different brands are, because it's still relatively small compared to, of course, the major big companies out there, and you have to appeal to a very particular mindset. So, what's your strategy to connect with people to get them to try you out, and then how do you get them to come back over and over and over again? And this comes from a guy who's going to a party at one of your hotels this evening, as a matter of fact.
Well, that's the word. One word I could think of, it would be fun. Mm-hmm. So, when we do a project, we try to figure out how do we make it the most fun, exciting hotel in the market that it's in.
Right.
And then work backwards from there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be great food and beverage. There's always going to be great, nightlife components to it. We want the community, and everybody says this, but I think anyone that stayed in our hotels will know that we really cater our amenities to the community that we're in. Mm-hmm. And then our hotel guests just love seeing locals hanging out and getting to see a venue that's filled with locals having fun.
Well, that's essential, because it's great to have people stay in your hotel and fill those rooms, but it's not going to help you be super profitable with the food and beverage, right? That's where that local community really comes in, especially if you have more of a entertainment nightlife aspect to it. So what do you do to try to appeal towards that local community to get them to be regular patrons?
Yeah, so we do concepts that are not focused at the hotel guests. We do concepts that are focused at the local community. So I'm not. If we're going to end up doing a Mexican fusion concept like the Bodega Negra in the Dream downtown, I'm not worried if that's what my hotel guests are going to prefer for their dinner options. In fact, they're the last people that I really care about what they want for dinner, because 90% of them are not going to eat in my hotel anyway, probably
because
for dinner.
they're trying to see what the vibe is in the local town and probably want to go out.
Right, but when they hear that one of the great restaurants locally is in this building, they're excited. So yeah, we really put that emphasis on, and we may do a concept ourselves. We may work with a local group in the Dallas Stream that's under construction now. We're working with a group, Nick and Sam's restaurant, Joe Palladino, who's the owner there, and we just thought that was the best solution. So we look at each one, give a unique solution, whether it's by Dream Hotel Group's brand or a local operator or someone we're already working with, like a Jeffrey Zakarian or the Tao Group, and Serafina and many others.
Right, yeah, and they all do a great job when it comes to food and beverage. That is absolutely for sure. So, do you identify a market that you want to go into first, or is it a situation where you find some people that want to open a hotel in a specific market? How does all that work for somebody like you?
We definitely have a hot list of where we want to try and get our brands in, and a couple of ones that are still missing. The obvious ones, Washington and Boston, so close to our corporate headquarters here in New York, and we have so much product in New York City. We'd love to be in Washington and Boston, also San Francisco and London. So those are the four markets where really, I don't want to say desperate, but where we put a lot of emphasis in. We have 9 business development people kind of running around the globe, based from Bangkok to Dubai to Morocco, one in London, one in New York, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Vegas, and LA. And those people are out there looking for opportunities that make sense. They do know the preference of some of the markets we're trying to get in, but with Unscripted brand being available in secondary markets, there are hundreds of markets that make sense for our brands to be in.
And I got to say, doing a deal a month and not opening one a month yet, right? Doing that deal a month is pretty impressive, because we're seeing so many companies come into being, trying to do exactly what you're doing. Here at the NYU Hospitality Investment Conference, I could probably name a whole handful of them, which I won't, because this is a dream podcast, right? But so you're not just competing against the big guys, you're competing against all these other upstarts that are kind of playing in the same universe as you are. So what are you trying to do that's different, that connects better with the future owner of a particular property?
We've been doing it for 20 years, so I think even though we're small and we're kind of like a startup in certain ways.
Well, because you've been around for 20 years, but you didn't really come into the investor consciousness, I'd say, in 10 years
because
ago?
Up until about 5 years ago, everything we owned, we managed. Everything we managed, we owned and we built. So these were all just one-off, independent, great lifestyle hotels. And then about 5 years ago, we said maybe we can create these into brands and stop building them ourselves, get other developers to build them, put our brand and pay us a fee to manage them. So that's really been the change. But we bring the experience of how to build and how to operate great lifestyle hotels for over 20 years. And I think that's different than virtually every brand out there, except for Ian Schrager and Bill Kempton not being alive, but certainly the Kempton brand. And W opened the first year that we opened in '99. We opened the first time hotel. So we've been doing it for a long time. We're not just sticking our toe in the water, and we have a team of professionals that have also been involved in lifestyle hotels for many years. So I think people see us as the real deal. We have great abilities to bring in unique food and beverage concepts like we talked about.
I mean, you've got some amazing partners there, which I think goes a long way to underscoring how serious of an organization you are.
Right, and we don't just try to only promote our own F&B concepts and say, everyone's going to have a PhD or everyone's going to have one of our brands. We really look and customize for each project what's best for that owner in that market to make him the most money, and not only from the food and beverage side, but great food and beverage creates more excitement in the hotel itself, and then you want to get the higher ADR because you become the hotel of choice in that particular market.
And you are getting amazing ADR here in New York City. As I was planning on whether or not to stay in the city, I was poking around. So congratulations on that.
I thought I offered you a good low rate.
Well, yeah, but I'm just a small businessman. Did I mention some more advertisers? If you want to come on board the show, help me stay at Dream Hotels. This is going to be my shtick now. It's just trying to get this to happen. All right, so Jay, I'm curious as to what it's like being a CEO of a company like this. What are some of your opportunities and challenges? What keeps you up at night? Because, man, I thought I had a tough job, but what you guys do is just so much harder.
I got to be completely honest. I'm going to be 62 this week. And
well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I swear I would never have guessed that.
So at this point in my life, I thought I may be taking it a little bit easier and playing a little golf maybe on Fridays. But we're in a startup mode. And, to be able to turn around and see 6 dream hotels open, another 7 under construction, as well as the other 18 that are under construction at the moment, it's just exciting. And surround myself with a group of dynamic vice presidents and general managers and all department heads. I just get excited about, what's it going to be like in the next few years. And I just have no desire to slow down. So, there's a lot of headaches, but I take it really well in stride. I don't get stressed over it. I've learned after doing this for 37 years that, somehow I will get these things solved, right. And tomorrow we'll still go on to the next thing. So I don't get, it doesn't knock.
So how do you do that? For me, and, not to even try to put myself in the same league as you, but it's trying to build my business and create a brand and an identity and stuff. There's an awful lot of stress that's involved with it, right? And sometimes I just feel like it can be really overcoming. How do you not let all of that darkness affect you? Because you're such a bright, well-balanced personality.
Yeah, as I said, I do. I've been doing it so long, I'm not worried that I can't figure out a solution.
Right.
It might not be great, and it might not be easy, and it may be a little painful at times, but we'll get through it. And sometimes I have to terminate people, and sometimes we have to let go of a project that we're working on. The chemistry's wrong, but the sun will come up tomorrow, and I don't get overly. And I know it's just business. There's a lot worse things that happen in a person's life than a business deal fall apart. And there's family and health and the things that really count in the end. So it doesn't take. It's just not all encompassing.
Well, I'm impressed that you could think that way, because the only time I think about all that real stuff is when that real stuff actually affects my life. But the rest of it just seems to be, you got to stay focused on work all the time. But I don't think what I'm struggling with is finding that balance between work and recharging, right? How do you switch things off? Because every time I see you, you're like, oh, I'm going across the world to try to work on this deal. I'm going across the country to do this thing. So how do you have a delineation between work and play? And I know you play in bands, so that's got to be something that helps.
That's a weird one. I've seen tons of people, right, in the industry, and I'm just lucky. I was blessed with good health, and I think I called in sick maybe twice in 37 years. And, I've been sick, obviously, a few more times than that, but not to the point where I didn't feel like I can come into work. And I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. So I don't need caffeine to get going. I just have this natural adrenaline that kicks in. And I feel excited in the morning when I think about what's coming up in front of me that day. And it's just not hard for me to get excited about it. And I don't really get jet lag from traveling. I've figured out how to beat that as well with no pills and no anything. And so it feels good.
I was going to ask you a different question, but how do you get over that jet lag? Because I got to be honest, every time I go to Europe, it freaking kills me.
The thing is, stay up on the plane, and once you land, stay up until it's time to go to bed for that time frame, even if it's a 36-hour journey, and then crash and wake up ready to go.
All right, God bless you. I don't know how you do that. You're probably one of those guys that need like 5 hours of sleep a night. Is my guess.
Yeah, 5 or 6 nights in a row I can do that, and then I'll catch up with a full 8-9 hour once in a while.
You see, I need that 9, 10, 16 hours of sleep a night.
Sound like my wife, Glenn.
I know. It's really bad, Jay. It's really bad. That's fascinating. That's pretty good. So okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what do you like reading these days to inspire you and keep yourself as tip-top shape as a CEO?
I don't read a lot of books because I only read on planes, and lately when I do a long plane ride, I've been enjoying to catch up on some movies that I never get to see. But I did read a book recently Small Great Things, I think it was called, and something that my mom recommended to me, and I finally got through it after about 9 to 10 plane rides. But and also, as you said, I'm a musician, so every night when I do get an hour or so to myself, I usually turn on my electric guitar, and that takes place of reading. And then in the car, I do drive into the city. So I do get to listen to news and catch up on my news stuff. So yeah.
And this is where you're supposed to say, and I listen to the No Vacancy podcast every single week on my drive to work.
Always listen to the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Every Sunday around 5:30, it comes into my email, and man, I can't wait.
I appreciate that. Good plug. Even if you are Lonnie, it doesn't matter. I'm still.
But I have guys in my office that say, because they've heard me on it once, and they said they never miss it and they listen to it all the time.
Well,
so
thank you.
It's working, man.
Appreciate that. And of course, the show is not called Fishing for Compliments. It's really about it's really about you. But it must be great though to be at this point in the state of the company, to have all of these deals coming, to have all of these new projects going. And I think really the word is that momentum and the wind behind your back right now. Does it make it easier, or does it make it harder to do your job every single day?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the volume, it makes it hard, and I can't do everything I did before. There's not enough time to be as micro involved, and it's hard for me to give up some of that. But it's great for me to see guys and girls that have been with us for 10, 15, 20 years saying, so when am I going to have opportunities? When's the new deals? When can I get promoted? And now we actually have things coming online and seeing people grow and moving into corporate, and so that's exciting too.
Oh, so that's an important thing, because especially in this day and age when unemployment is almost non-existent right now, and you've got everyone is doing the switching companies game right now. So you need to really give people a pathway to future career development in order to be able to maintain them, and that must be something that's very important to you folks.
Yeah, the whole employment thing, and I've lost some good people over the last couple of years, and we've trained them, they were solid, and they went on for other opportunities, and it used to bum me out a little bit, but now I see it really as an opportunity to get someone new who maybe will even be better than them. Or if not better at the beginning, we'll get them up to that point. So I see it kind of as an opportunity and not so much as a problem. Though it's not easy finding people. It's really not. And our industry is not real attractive in the upper management level for people coming out of great colleges. So we've been trying to fast track some young people that look like they'll be all-stars and putting them on a path where they think they could actually and can become general manager maybe in 5 to 6 years, as opposed to 20 years like it took me back then. So we are looking at the industry differently, and how we pick employees and the kind of career paths we set up for them.
So what was your first job in the hotel business?
I was in the restaurant business, but while I was still in school, I was a cook in a pub. And in the hotel, I started at the Vista Hotel, World Trade Center, January 1983, as assistant restaurant manager, doing the night shift there at the Greenhouse Cafe.
Wow! At what point did you realize, hey, I want to be a CEO, or did that even come into your recollection?
Well, when I started, I was late already. I already had a bachelor's degree in political science. Then I got a hotel degree afterwards. And so when I started the industry, I was already like 26, 27. And after about 2 months of riding the subway 2.5 hours back to Queens at 2 in the morning when I finished my job, I said, you know what, I could be good at this. And I went in to see my food and beverage director, and I said, Mr. Davis, I don't care how much you pay me. All I want to do is learn. And, hopefully you like the work that I'm doing, and I'll work as many hours as you want. I don't care how much you pay me. I just want to keep learning. And he said, I like what you're doing, and put me on some fast tracks, and time moved on. I eventually became a GM after a number of years, and then, I've been working with Mr. Chatwell, who's just a phenomenal owner, and I kind of became his vice president of operations many years ago. So I was kind of his number two for a long time. So to move up into the CEO role was really still being his number two. So, I've been doing this kind of work for a lot of years now.
Yeah. So it sounds like a real dream. Yeah. Sorry. You must get tired of that damn pun all the time. So what are you most looking forward to, as you go down this journey with Expanding Dream?
To see these things get open, as you pointed out, to get more opportunities for a lot of our team members to move into new positions. But to see the brands open up in cities other than New York and LA and Miami is exciting. And we built a company on a culture that we do great quality service to our guests. A kind of aggressive hospitality is what we like to call it, but not in a folksy manner, which a lot of our industry, I think, does,
right.
But to do it in a sophisticated manner.
So not a 50 Shades of Grey kind of way.
No. Now, we like to surprise guests by, how did they know that about me? Or,
right.
I used the example when I stayed at Dream Hollywood a few months ago. I had a walking boot on my cast. Now, I'm the CEO of the company, obviously. They were nice to me, of course.
Right.
But the first day I went to Alice, spent the whole day there at the conference, came back at midnight that night to my room, went upstairs, and there was a shopping bag from a drugstore, and it had ice packs in it.
Nice.
And it said, "We hope your foot feels better." And I know they did that for me, but they do that for all the those kinds of things, and that's what make a guest go, "God, these guys are great," and that's the kind of hospitality we try to teach.
And I think you really need to do that kind of hospitality in order to really have that long-term relationship with the guest. I think, and it's not that a hotel brand isn't good. I just think that there's so many brands out there that are competing for space in our minds, both within the hotel business and every other parts of our lives, that it's hard to remember them all. So even if you have a good experience, that's not good enough anymore, in my opinion, because I think the worst thing you could be is just good enough so you're forgettable, right?
Yeah, we like them to kind of stand there at one point and say, "Wow, that was nice."
Yeah.
"Oh, wow, that was cool." Whether it came from a busboy or from a room attendant or from an engineer or a front desk clerk or the GM, and somehow touch them where they kind of thought twice,
right.
"Wow, that was nice. They cared about me."
That's cool. Anything else that you want to talk about today?
I'm not sure, Glenn. I can tell you a lot more about our different hotels that we're developing. We hope to make some announcements. Probably in the next 2 months. I think we should probably announce 3 or 4 new projects. So
awesome. Well, you're doing that deal a month, so you're going to have to be.
Well, we haven't announced any in about 3 months, so we're due to announce about 4 of them.
All right. So you say you want to talk a little bit more about some particular hotels. What comes to your mind when you say that to me?
So, like I said, the Dallas project, very exciting.
Why?
That's one that we're doing ourselves.
Okay. Why is it exciting to you?
Well, like I said, we have 18 hotels in development. 3 are ours. The Palm Springs.
And you have 18 open already.
We have 18 open already. So we're trying not to develop ourselves as a rule going forward, but we just can't help ourselves on certain deals. So, yeah, this Dallas one, it's also going to be the first dream project that's not on. Well, we'll have Nashville open by then, but we're trying to fill in the middle part of the country.
Right.
It always seemed logical that these brands belonged on the coast, but to now come into Middle America and pick the right areas for Dream is exciting.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, I guess.
My pleasure, Glenn.
So how about before we wrap up, you got to give yourself a shameless plug. If someone wants to develop one of these bad boys, how do they find you guys?
DreamHotelGroup.com.
Easy enough.
Or you can get me on my cell phone, 917-834-7210.
I love it. I can't believe that you just gave out that number. So, and even more important, where's your next show that you're playing?
That's this Friday night at Casey's Kitchen, Rockville Center.
Excellent.
On the rooftop.
All right. Oh, beautiful. Summertime, rooftop band, flashback to all the classic rock eras. I love myself some Jay Stein. Very talented, both in the hotel business and on that guitar. And I want to thank all of you guys for listening to the show today. It's been great having you here. And I'll be back next week. That is, unless I decide to drop out and open up a wilderness lodge somewhere in upstate New York. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.